Hello and welcome back. In today's episode, we're continuing with countries. And we'll begin with our first kingdom on our list of places to check out. There aren't too many kingdoms really left around. This one, another one that I don't really remember being talked about much. The Kingdom of Rizia. I mean, this story's mostly about the nations right around us and a couple others and the superpowers. So the rest of the nations aren't really as much. So it's just funny with how much lore's about all these other things. The Kingdom of Rizia, colonially known as Rizia, is a centralized constitutional monarchy led by King Ramis Taurus. It is positioned on the eastern coast of South Maricopa Peninsula. The kingdom is neighbored by Welline, Morella, and Grand Duchy of Pales, and separated from Lesbia by the Sudice Sea. Rizia's name finds its root in the Resinid Empire, a powerful ancient confederation that dominated much of southern Maricopa at the beginning of the first millennium. The ruling Resinid family strategically established their stronghold, Dresden, later renamed Port de Dresden, at the Zipana River's mouth, taking advantage of the fertile soil. The region fell to the Maricopian Empire in the early 1100s, which built roads, bridges, and aqueducts, and mined small amounts of gold to support their expansion. This rule lasted until the 1600s, when the Rubez family led an independence movement, forming the Kingdom of Rizia, comprising three semi-autonomous provinces: Brenes, Veliquires, and Montecellar, governed from the central domain of Rizia Imperi. In the 1800s, split in the Rubez family led to the War of the Rizian Succession, causing a five-year bloody conflict that involved several external powers. After the war, the Torres family took the crown, with the Suzerain and Azaro families controlling Brenes and Montecar. Riza's golden age occurred in the late 1800s under Queen Lizia, the Great Taurus, driven by advancements in gold mining technology. However, this era ended with the reign of Liza's son, Valero the Frail, whose unsuccessful attempts to retake Pals led to rebellion. Despite initial struggles, the Rizia regained its economic stability thanks to alliances and the discovery of natural gas fields. Today, Rizia boasts one of the highest GDPs on the continent, with citizens enjoying a high quality of life due to large salaries and well-funded social services. The government holds part ownership of large corporations, with Rizian Royal Gold being the most significant, despite commendations for its free healthcare, low tax rates, and progressive women's rights policies. Rizia's human rights record has been criticized for its unequal treatment of citizens and non-citizens and harsh punishment for protesters. Rizia is a member of the Organization of Maricopian Economic Development, OEMC, the Guild of Royal Allies for Commercial Exchange, GRACE, and the Alliance of Nations. The Republic of Morella. Morella, formerly recognized as the Republic of Morella, is a South Maricopa country sharing borders with the Free Cities and Canel to the southwest, Rizia and the Aetacean Sea to the east, and Duria to the north. Morella operates as a presidential republic, currently governed by the recently elected left-wing alliance, the Morellian United Front. The current president is Alma Satana, and Caveta is the country's capital. Initially inhabited by ancient tribes of South Maricopa, the region evolved into a march of the Northian Empire, with the arrival of the Chianelli people in the 18th century. It was later conquered by the Rizianid Empire in the 10th century, and the Marquian Empire in the 13th century. Following the Marquians' downfall in the 17th century, Morella became part of the Moradia Empire, which ruled over present-day Durdia, Morella, and the Free Cities. Between the 17th and 19th centuries, Morella evolved into a powerful kingdom within the empire, eventually asserting its autonomy through ultimatums and revolts. The empire's defeat in the Mauser-Moradian and Valgo-Moradian wars weakened the kingdom. setting the stage for the Morellian independence movement. Following Moradia's transformation to a republic, Morella was the first to declare independence, establishing the independent Republic of Morelia. After the 1920s revolution in the Volgos Empire, the Morellian coasts of the Duchy of Pals were reclaimed by the Republic, granting the country access to the Atlantic Sea. Between 1920 and 1950, various nationalist coalitions ruled the country, leading to increasingly authoritarian policies. However, the economic crisis of the late 1940s led to a unified front of previously divided left-wing parties. The Morellian Unified Front won the 1950s election, forming the country's first left-wing government. Despite its rich resources, Morella is considered a middle economic power in eastern and southern Maricopa, and its citizens suffer from high levels of poverty. The country's record on civil rights is average, but its political freedoms are below average. Recently, Morella has emerged as a hub for Melanvius propaganda in South Maricopa. Morella is a member of the Organization for Maricopian Economic Development, OMEC, and a member of the Alliance of Nations. Nourished Republic of Derdia. The Nourished Republic of Derdia, commonly referred as Derdia, is a theocratic republic located in the southeast quadrants of Maricopa. Its borders encompass the countries of Welland and Agard to the north, the Free Cities to the west, and the South lie Morella and the Gulf of Moradia. The government of Derdia is founded on word-assessed principles, with the highest authority vested in the Supreme Wiseman, a position presently held by Georgia Asmo, the capital city of the Republic of Niel. Derdia's name traces back to the ancient Derdic kingdom of Derdia, which was nested within what are now the boundaries of Argida and Derdia and Welland. The region was overtaken by Wessex and Bloodish tribes in the 6th century, marking the introduction of Nurti, Wessex culture, and language. Derdy underwent further changes in the 10th century, as it fell under the control of the Resinid Empire, and later, in the 13th century, was absorbed by the Marquian Empire. With the collapse of the Marquians in the 17th century, Derdia integrated into the larger empire of Mordia, which ruled over present-day Derdia, Morella, and the Free Cities. Derdia experienced significant transformation in the 1850s, inspired by the Arcatian Revolution. The Empire of Moradia transitioned into a republic, but was subsequently divided due to religious and ethnic strife. Derdia eventually emerged as an independent republic, bolstered by military and economic support from Arcatia. However, the Arcatian-supported government eventually succumbed to collapse in 1911, morphing into a theocracy founded on Golkundism. A rigid interpretation of the Wurist school of thought. The Wurist regime has attracted international condemnation due to extremist human rights and civil liberties abuses. By the 1930s, Derdia became a hub for Golkundism within eastern Maricopa and was perceived as the largest adversary of the Free Cities. Derdia's government has had a hand both directly and indirectly in the Welland Civil War insurgencies in Morella and the Free Cities, and religious missionary efforts in the Maricopa and Xena. While considered a middle economic power in eastern Maricopa, Derdia has a significant weak civil rights record and lacks in political freedoms. Despite being the world's only worst theocracy, its interpretation of Nuridi has faced significant international backlash from a large section of Wurists. Derdia is a founding member of the International Nurist Community, INC, and a member of the Alliance of Nations. Grand Duchy of Pals. Pales, officially known as the Grand Duchy of Pales, is a coastal country located in southeastern Maricopa. The only country is bordered is the Kingdom of Rizia. The country's capital is the port of Pales, and it is governed by a monarch, Grand Duke Axel Reinhardt. The culture, people, and language of Pales are deeply intertwined with the Riezan neighbors, though the official national language in Palian, closely related to Riezan, and sometimes considered a Riezan dialect or a language invented by the Volgish colonizers, Riezan and Volgish are also used in administrative and judicial proceedings. Pales first emerged in the 10th centuries when Court Resna acquired a rocky coastal region in southern Riza and built the first Resinid-era fortifications, known as palaces. in the modern-day city of Pales and the surrounding area. Over the centuries, Pales thrived under the Riazanid and the Marquian empires, and later became part of the Kingdom of Riza, when it succeeded from the Marquian Empire in the 17th century. During the 17th century, the port city of Pales became one of the Eastern Makopa's most important trade hubs, and served as a main port for the Kingdom of Rizia. However, in the late 17th century, the Velgos Empire occupied the city, forcing the Riazan government to cede administrative control of the port. Despite losing its most crucial port, the region of Greater Pales remained part of Rizia until the 19th century. As promised by Duke William of Monquiz during the War of Riazan Succession, Vulgos took control over the Pales region and the coastal areas of Morella along the Gulf of Nal in 1810. Integrating into the empire. The Duchy of Pales was established soon after, unifying Greater Pales and the coastal regions of Morella under Valgis Duke. After the 1920 revolution in the Valgos Empire, the Morellan coasts of the Duchy of Pales were reclaimed by the Republic of Morella. Later, the Kingdom of Rizia swiftly retook the northern parts of Greater Pales in military operations with minimal casualties. Out of financial and military aid from Lesbia, the Reinhardt family maintained control and successfully defended the southeastern cities of the duchy. Following the Riza's retreat, the Reinhardts proclaimed their territory as the Grand Duchy of Pales, establishing it as an independent country. In the 1930s, the country saw rapid economic growth and militarized its borders with the help of the Republic of Lesbia. Both countries signed numerous cooperation agreements, resulting in the Grand Duchy increasing reliance on Lesbia. In 1944, after briefly banning the Riazan language and causing tensions to spike between pro-Rizian and pro-Palestine factions, Duke Nijamullah rescinded his decision and abdicated in favor of his brother Axel, a popular figure among the Riazan-speaking population. The Grand Duchy of Pales is a developed country with a robust economy, boasting one of the world's highest GDP per capita. The city of Pales was declared an ESCAN heritage site in 1950. Due to the remarkable preservations of Riazanid-era fortifications, the country has an above-average record on civil rights, but a below-average political freedoms. Pales is a member of the Organization of Mercopian Economic Development, OMEC. So Pales is just... Oh, Pales is the really tiny guy over here. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Got it. I understand. Okay, let's see. Republic of Swordland. I'm pretty sure we've actually... Yeah, we've read this one already. Yeah, I mean, if we haven't read that one already, we've figured out enough about us to that we don't need to read it either way. Agnolia, officially the Republic of Agnolia, is parliamentary republic situated in Eastern Mercopa. It is currently governed by the centrist Nurse Democratic Union (NDU), led by Prime Minister Martin van Herten. Its capital is Stockport. The name of the land was given to it by the Agno tribes when they first settled in the region in the early 17th century. The Agno people lived... Yeah, this is the one right above us. The Agno people lived under the reign of the Marquian tribe, and later the Marquian Empire, only achieving statehood in the year 1600 with the independence of the Kingdom of Agnolia. The kingdom only lasted 75 years when the Agnolian queen, Lena, married the ruler of Swordland, Eric Renan, and established a union between the two countries. This union is somewhat called the Agnolian Swordish Commonwealth, and it lasted until 1740. The Republic of Agnolia was founded in 1740 when the Union of Swordland broke down following the death of Queen Lena. It was established as a merchant republic with the rector at its head. During the Century of Revolution, the republic transformed into a parliamentary republic. In the 19th century, the country relied heavily on the protection of Swordland against the rising pressures of Rimburg and Vagsland. Agnolia saw an economic boom in the late 1910s and expanded their navy throughout the decade. In the 1920s, Angola invaded Herzeland when the island briefly, when the island briefly broke free from Vagsland. After the Malevist Revolution, Agnolia's economy started to recede in the late 1930s and lived through two of the worst economic crises of its history in the 1940s and 1951. or in 1940 and 1951, not 40s, when Agnolia accepted financial aid from both United Cortana and Acacia to rebuild its economy. During the late 1940s, more than 1 million Agnolians have immigrated to Swordland, escaping poverty and hunger. The country is famous for its steel, coal, and fish. It is arguably one of the weakest economies in eastern Macopia, and an average civil rights record with very good political freedoms. Despite being a capitalist country, a large group of their populations are believed to be sympathetic to Millennialism and Valxenian socialism. It is a member of Organization for Macopian Economic Development, OMEC, and a member of the Alliance of Nations. Republic of Lesbia, which is right below us. Lesbia, officially the Republic of Lesbia, is a country in eastern Macopa with some pockets of territory in the Artean Sea. Yeah, right there. It is a parliamentary republic currently governed by the Democrazia Lesbia Party, with Patricio Alvarez as the prime minister. Its capital is Perla. Lesbia is one of the oldest countries on the Mercopian continent, emerging as a kingdom in the early 9th century. It was conquered by the Marquian Empire in the 11th century, which ruled the area for nearly 6 centuries. When Lesbia became an independent again in the 17th century, it emerged as a federation of small city-states, princedoms, and duchies, ruled by an elective monarchy in Perla. The Republic of Lesbia was formed during the Century of Revolutions, following a peaceful revolution in 1850 inspired by the Acacian Revolution. For many of the modern period until the 19th century, Lesbia ruled over a large area of land in the Antician Sea, as well as several colonies in the continent of Rica. The country was heavily criticized by the international area for shutting down their borders during the Welland Civil War. In the 1930s, Lesbia went through a great economic boom and emerged as a global economic power in the late 1940s. Acacia is regarded as Lesbia's closest ally in the region, which has had very close ties with the nation for nearly a decade. After Patricio Alvarez became prime minister, he approved the housing of Arcacian military personnel in Lesbia, and in 1950 joined the Arcacian Treaty Alliance. The nation has arguably the strongest economy in eastern Macopa, and a below-average civil rights record with a very good political freedoms. Despite being a wealthy country, Lesbian people suffer from very high levels of inequality between the poor and the rich. Lesbia has recently become a center of eastern Macopian tourism and entertainment. It is a member of the Acacian Treaty Organization, which was created to counter the influence of Malivianism and United Cortana's military capabilities. It is also a member of the Organization of Macopian Economic Development and a member of the Alliance of Nations. Alright, good. Did we click on you? No, we definitely didn't look at Arcacia. That's a very important one that I just skipped. Like, it's probably fine. We don't really need to know about them, they're fine. Right. Yeah, I think that's fine. There's just so many places around here. What does that glow? I just like looking at this map, it's just, there's so much here. Referred to as Arcacia is a constitutional republic situated in Maricopa and widely acknowledged as a global superpower. The nation's capital, Ventry City, serves as the financial center of the world. President Dwight Walker, a distinguished figure with Brumbergian heritage, presently leads the country. Modern-day Arcacia's foundation dates back to 1923, following the overthrow of King Jonathan ruling the Kingdom of Arcacius by the determined Arcacian revolutionaries known as the Equerries de la Liberté, led by the charismatic and visionary leader Louis Bermet. This catalyzed a period of global conflicts called the Century of Revolutions, emerging as a superpower at its close of the century. Acacia expanded its influence by championing capitalism on a global scale. The nation heavily relies on its formidable military strength and is engaged in numerous military operations and security pacts worldwide. As a highly developed country, Arcacia secured its position as the world's largest economy by nominal GDP at the start of the 20th century. This era witnessed Arcasian's companies becoming dominant global players. Arcasian universities transformed into world-class educational institutions, and Arcasian citizens enjoyed unparalleled political freedoms. However, the nation also contends with significant economic inequality between rural and urban areas, and faces criticisms for alleged human rights abuses. Arcasia's economic power is currently locked in a fierce ideological battle with United Cortana, as both nations compete for global influence. While some perceive Arcasia as a beacon of freedom, others regard it as oppressive, especially in light of recent reports of torture camps and the unethical use of force against prisoners of war. Despite these challenges, Arcasia boasts one of the world's strongest economies and enjoys relatively good political freedoms. Its citizens benefit from the low unemployment rates and high purchasing power, fueling the nation's consumerist culture. The country encompasses much of the west coast of Mercopa, and it includes some remote regions of northwest Mercopa, as well as the western Mercopian desert, resulting in stretches of undeveloped land. Arcasia is the founding member of the Arcasian Treaty Organization, ATO, established to counter the threats of Malianism and United Cortana's military capacities. It is also a member of the Organization for Mercopian Economic Development, OMEC, and holds a permanent seat on the Alliance of Nations. The nation's commitment to these organizations highlights its ongoing dedication to preserving global stability and promoting its values. Kingdom of Rumburg, which is right over there. Kingdom of Rumburg, commonly known as Rumburg, is a constitutional monarchy situated in northern Mercopa. The country's capital, Thornborough, and its monarch is Queen Beatrice Livingstone. It is the largest country on the Mercopan continent by size, spanning the entire north and west to east. It is the founding member of the Guide of Royal Allies for Commerce Exchange, GRACE. Rumburg initially emerged as a march of the Rums around the 7th century, and later with the migration developed into the heartland for the Kingdom of the Rums. In 1599, Rumburg broke away from the Marquian Empire and established its own kingdom. Early in the 19th century, Rumburg transformed into a constitutional monarchy when King Uthred transferred some of his power to the Council of the State, and later to the Parliament of Rumburg. In the 19th century, Rumburg rose to prominence as a major power in Mercopa when it colonized and rapidly industrialized a massive area of steppe, tundra, and ice in the far north. After getting involved in and losing several wars in the previous century, Rumburg went through a period of rapid industrialization through collectivization and forced labor, particularly investing in military technologies. During this period, Rumburg's military industry rose to rival Arcasia, and rapid economic development resulted in some improvements in the standard living. After suffering extensively during the 15-day war against Swordland, the country also developed the world's first atomic rifle. No, definitely not atomic rifle. Automatic rifle, KA-74, which became the most popular weapon of the continent in the 20th century. In 1924, Beatrice Livingstone ascended to the throne upon the death of King Alfred II. The Queen's rule started with the controversial annexation of Dome and expanded Rumburg's borders further south. It's starting what Queen Livingstone called the Great Unification, which seeks to take back lost territories and unify ethnic Rum under the kingdom. Following the Socialist Revolution of Vaxland, the Queen cancelled her father's plan to form an Eastern Mercopian pact with Vaxland, and instead started warming up to Arcasia by establishing important trade deals. Despite the Rumburgian government claims, the country is believed to have been heavily involved in both the Welland Civil War and the Swedish Civil War. The nation has a strong economy and a below-average civil rights record with very few political freedoms. Thanks to the heavy promotion of science and military technologies, they experienced a very rapid technological development and are believed to possess significant experimental weapons. Despite being home to resource-rich areas in the north, Rumburg imports enormous amounts of raw materials to fuel their massive military industry. It is a member of the Organization for Mercopan Economic Development, OMEC, GRACE, and a member of the Alliance of Nations. FSR of United Cortana. United Cortana is a federalist socialist republic situated on the continent of Cortana and considered as a superpower of the world. It is a union of multiple socialist republics spanning Cortana. The country is a one-party state governed by the Communist Party with Kiev as its capital. It is led by Chairman Leon, and United Cortana had its roots in the 1907 revolution, when the revolutionaries of Rotsky, led by Maleviev, overthrew the Cortanian government, which had replaced the autocratic regime of the king during the Century of Revolutions. In 1910, after civil war ending the Rotskis' victory, the United Kurtana was formed by a treaty that united the Khotyn, Transcaspian, Kievan, and Byalotian republics of the Kurtanan continent. Malevis replaced the market economy with a command economy, which led to a period of rapid industrialization and collectivization in United Kurtana. During this period, rapid economic development resulted in dramatic improvements in the average standard of living, particularly in urban areas. The country saw major reforms under the ideology of Malevism. It promoted the idea of the permanent revolution abroad and supported socialist revolutions in nearby states with early stage capitalism. United Kurtana grew its influence around the world with Malevism ideas and rose to become a superpower of the world. United Kurtana is currently locked in a fierce ideological battle with Arcadia. Both powers are in a race of influence around the globe. United Kurtana has been growing in influence and around the world by supporting less fortunate nations with their problems, supporting revolutionaries and unions abroad. They have already influenced several revolutions to occur, which led to the founding of new Marco-Malevious nations. The nation has a very strong economy and an average civil rights record, with very few political freedoms. Thanks to the education reforms and heavy promotion of sciences, they experienced a technological golden age, and currently are considered to be ahead of their rivals in the world. The continent is very resource-rich, and United Kurtana uses this as a means to spread their influence around the globe. It tends to export national resources and more than any other nation in the world. In exchange, sets up military bases in strategic countries. And it is the founding member of the Kurtanan Security Pact, CSP, which was created against growing threat of Arcadian capitalism and neo-imperialism. It is also a permanent member of the Alliance of Nations. Democratic Republic of Vagzland, which is right to our north. The Democratic Republic of Vagzland, commonly known as Vagzlands, is a socialist republic situated on the island of Valgos and several small islands. It is governed by the People's Party, with Helm as the capital. Chancellor Imrich Hegel currently serves as the head of government. Before the Valg tribes settled on the island of Valgos in the 11th century, the area was inhabited mainly by the tribal Galmic people. Due to being isolated on the island for centuries, they developed a distinct islander culture, moving further away from its cultural roots, which they shared with cultures of mark and sword. During the 16th century, the Kingdom of Valgos greatly expanded its borders in the race for colonization of the Riga and Xena continents, and was later declared to be the Empire of Valgos. For much of the period until the 19th century, Valgos had the largest navy in the world, and was considered to be the superpower of the seas. The Democratic Republic of Vagzland was formed in 1920, following the Vagzlandish Revolution, led by the revolutionary William Ulbrich. Ulbrich overthrew the monarchy, and inspired by Leon's revolution, United Kurtana established a socialist state in accordance with the ideas of Malianism. Following the revolution, the new government gave the old colonies of Valgos independence and replaced the old economic model with a new command economy. Ulbrich's term saw many purges, arrests, and killings under the reason for protecting the revolution. Imrich Hegel was elected chancellor in 1940 following the death of William Ulbrich. He started a period of de-Ulbrichization and enacted many reforms which started a less repressive era in Vogtland. He reorganized the People's Party and distanced it from the Malleist lines. He promoted what he called Vagzlandist socialism and greatly reformed the country according to those ideals. In recent years, huge reforms of Hegel have diminished the role of the Revolutionary People's Party and increased public participations in politics. The nation has a stable economy and a strong civil rights record with average political freedoms. Vagzlandish people have no unemployment problems and enjoy higher living standards compared to other socialist republics. It has recently been selected as an example on state rights by the Alliance of Nations after the revolutionary forums of Imrich Hegel. It is a member of the Kurtanan Security Pact, which was created against the growing threat of Arcadian capitalism and neo-imperialism. It is also a member of the Organization for Mercopian Economic Development, and a permanent member of the Alliance of Nations. The Republic of Wellen, which is the one that we've been talking about being in a civil war over and over and over. That's like the only thing we've heard about it repeatedly. Wellen, officially the Republic of Wellen, is a presidential republic situated in eastern Mokopa. It is currently governed by the Welzec Nationalist Party of Near Socialism, led by President Viktor Smolik. Its capital is Werlitz. Wellen was founded by Baron Wezerik Retzik in 1630 when he broke away from the Marquian Empire to establish its own kingdom in the region dominated by Wesek people. Even though the Wesek people lived in the region for far more than 1,000 years, they never had a state which unified the region of Welland under one rule. After a bloody revolution in 1914, the kingdom was replaced with a republic. The country went through a brief period of economic golden age, when gold and diamond mines as well as oil were discovered in the mountainous region close to Rumburg and Lesbia. In 1930, the country plunged into civil war after the assassination of the president by a Wesek royalist. Welland was divided into two, and the conflict intensified when Arcacia supported South Welland and the United Cortanans supported North Welland. The armed rebel groups escaped from Swordland also formed bases in the country during the period. The brutal civil war caused a massive refugee crisis in the region, and ended with the reformation of the Republic in 1932. Arcatian forces did not leave the country and served as a peacekeeping mission until 1936. The country saw a massive surge in anti-Arcatianism between 30s and 40s, which resulted in the formation of the Wesek Nationalist Party of Near Socialism. After Victor Smolik became president in 1943, the country started looking like a one-party state. The country is famous for its oil and diamonds, and is arguably one of the weakest economies in Eastern Macopa, and very weak civil rights record with no political freedoms. It is ranked as the worst place in Macopa to start a business in. It is a member of the Organization for Macopian Economic Development, OMEC, and a member of the Alliance of Nations. And those are the countries. Next time, we will begin going through the landmarks and maybe even the regions too, I don't know. But that was this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.